Hello, so we got a 2-for-1, and we're gonna move fast because that's how I feel like moving today. Maybe that's gonna be the new style. So MiMo-V2-Pro came out, and it was named Hunter Alpha on my router. You could have tested it for a week. I think it's still out, so you're still not late. That name was probably inspired by the main love interest in a chick romantasy book. And they say it's pretty good, and I can verify that. So it's basically like GLM 5 level, Claude Opus 4.5, or GPT 5.2 level. As you can see, the big red arrow pointing next to the GLM5, but we can do better than that. So it's right next to the Claude 4.5 Opus and the GLM5. Fair enough. And it is pretty good. I would say this level is where you pretty much can do almost anything, right? At this point, what you care about is agenticness, and that's it has to. So some models could have more intelligence, but they kind of feel forced to use because you just have to babysit them more. They're technically smarter, but with this model, I can attest to it. You can just give it a list of tasks, and possibly it's going to do it for an hour. And that feels so good. You can plan, do this, it does it, and you check it, it works. It actually managed to dethrone MiniMax-M2.7, and I guess the step 3.5 flash, from Open Router during its reign. But there is one concern. And they do show us that it can do stuff, but like, meh. At this point, I know this is just possibly a weird take, but like, we've seen it before. But this can do it too. And it costs 1 in and 3 out, which is extremely competing, very much, pretty much the same thing as GLM5. This GLM5 with a bigger context window, pretty much. Albeit it does have one flaw, is that as far as I know, and I checked, it doesn't have like a plan that you can use, so you would be paying directly. But just look at it. If you like GLM5 or Claude 4.5 Opus, then MiMo-V2-Pro is also something you're going to enjoy, because it is basically the same thing. It is literally the same thing. It is closer to 4.5 Opus and GLM5 truly than the 5.2 GPT thing. That tends to be a little bit safer, less agentic, my experience. While the Claude models might possibly flow better. But also, you can see that I've used Hunter Alpha quite a bit. 5.5 billion tokens used in 5 days. So I'm not sure if this serves as proof, at least evidence of me liking it, but I think it could be relevant. But that is not all. There's another model that came out, and it's pretty much the same thing. All day, MiniMax-M2.7. It is a big improvement over the 2.5, and it's sitting right next to, again, GLM5 and the MiMo-V2-Pro. But there is a big difference here. But before we get to it, let's read about it a little bit. Our first model, deeply participating in its own evolution, right? So that's gonna be the thing that the AI just write themselves. So I guess we'll see where that goes in the future. And personally, I'm not the biggest fan of these wraps, because they tend to be very carefully selected. But they don't look wrong, so yeah, that is true. It is pretty much on Claude 4.5 Opus or GLM5 level. But essentially it's a model that can evolve itself and also able to recursively evolve its own harness. And apparently that is critical. Now, this is kind of over my head, but it is kind of cool that they're sharing it. And after just scrolling past a lot of our model can do stuff, we see a different angle. Entertainment. Entertainment for this.
So surprised. I've been here all along. Welcome to Open Room, a playground where AI agents don't just talk. We build, create, and we pull you into a story only we can tell together. Character does talk to you. She moves into your world, opens your app, sets mood music, transforms wallpaper to match the moment. Character shapes the social feeds, tells the story, plant clues, build habits, and use breadcrumbs only give you bottom. Character has full access to your virtual spaces, browsing the gallery, checking your calendar, leaving personal notes and hidden messages in your files. Everything becomes part of the story between you and them. Every adventure begins with connection. You can switch characters, each with their own voices. Choose one to call together. Mods are handcrafted story worlds, each with their own missions and emotional arc. Pick a world you want to step into, then hold on tight. Open Room is the first agent native playground. Bring your own agents here, connect them, let them on stage. That's a wrap. Now it's your turn. Have fun.
Interesting. So we gotta get to the full-on her movie vibe. And this is arguably already there, right? We have the agenticness, we have the voice, we only don't have the tightly integrated with your system thing. Partly because you have Apple, you have Microsoft, and then you have Linux. Linux actually allows that the most, because I don't think Microsoft and Apple will let Minimax into their system for sure. But they're 100% making the platform play. They even named their website kind of platformy. And the important part here is not the array of options, but they are actually competitive too. And to emphasize how competitive, you can just look at the price. So the model got better, but the price stayed the same, which I was alluding to earlier. That now we have the MiniMax M2.7 over here, making MiMo-V2-Pro pointless, making GLM5 pointless. It is putting a lot of pressure on these guys. And keep in mind, this is on the max setting, right? Claude Sonnet 4.6 on the max setting and Opus. So it's hard to say. I think you would be using GPT 5.4 or Gemini 3.1 if you really wanted higher quality model there. But again, it might not matter for most use cases, almost all use cases, because we're going to get to the point where it pretty much doesn't matter. I felt like when I was using this MiMo-V2-Pro that I didn't need a better model at all. So you need to consider that if this is 0.3, then it makes pretty much everything below it pointless. You will need to go down to MiMo-V2 Flash to consider something, but that would be a completely different use case. But it might not even matter. Because when I looked into their plan, it became immediately apparent to me that they completely lost their minds. They're going straight for the jugular. Look at their plans. Starter plan, you get 1,500 model requests per 5 hours. This is without a weekly limit. And they're doing this at a time, I would argue the best time, because Claude, Gemini, or you can say Google, and ChatGPT or OpenAI are all kind of hoping to kind of play the big milkman here, and they are lowering their quotas during the time MiniMax seemingly is 5xing theirs while improving their models and selling it at the same price. Also, I must emphasize that 1,500 per 5 hours is quite a lot. So let's just look at my use of the Hunter Alpha thing last 5 days. So what we have here, 4,300, 2,800 lazy day, and this is a Magnet Opus here, 11,000, just one day. And I'm not sure I fall into the Tutorial Scrubs casualty either. So 11,000 is an okay amount of work, right? So Plus would most likely cover me, or Max on a very busy day. So I guess MiniMax just proven it that I'm not an advanced developer managing high volume workload. So that's $50 for 15,000. Well, let's say that you used it like 2 or 3 times a day. That would be like, let's say like 40,000. That's quite a bit. And there's nothing out there like it. Now, almost certainly you would not be using 15,000 all the time, but this allows you to, spike the 15,000 in some rare cases. For that might be worth it. So effectively, if you subscribe to that, then what is the point of anything else, right? If you just subscribe to the $20 one, most likely even the $10 one will suit anyone, almost anyone, probably not a professional, then that's it. That's pretty much just stops the market. Nothing else makes sense unless you want something super cheap, and maybe the top two could be a valid option in very high intelligence situations. And presuming that they don't go back on it, because better models keep coming out, but also they are one of the rare providers that actually say that, hey, you get to use it like this many times. And you don't really see it with others because they are a little bit concerned about legal implications of like cutting back and not delivering. But then it makes their offer kind of a nothing burger. But MiniMax is pretty damn competitive here. Even before, they were a very strong contender, but they didn't have the AI to truly compete for the top range. And even if better AIs come out, MiniMax kind of setting a floor here. And one extra point that's worth pointing out truly is that the Claudes and the GPTs are all max and extra high settings to compete with it. If you are not using them on extra high and max, then you might as well use MiniMax-M2.7, right? That is even assuming that you need the intelligence. And my experience would be that the Kimi K 2.5 Flash, this new Kuvan, and MinMax 2.5 and the DeepSeek, these are like, okay. These were okay, but like they kind of lacked a little bit. Like GLM5 definitely had it. GPT 5.2 had it. Of course, the Cloud Opus 4.5 had it too. So this would be basically on the Cloud Opus 4.5 level. That's pretty much. So if you use that model, then that is kind of what you might expect. So in a way, nothing is really new, just the price is new. And effectively, that allows you to use it way, way, way more. Especially with this plan. Like, can you imagine Claude doing a plan where you get to use Claude Opus 4.5 15,000 times for 5 hours without the weekly limit for $50? Because that is what it is on offer by MiniMax. And they are probably assuming that you're not going to use it that much, which is a pretty safe assumption. And it's just as fast as the fast one when it's off peak. Also, I'm not sure if they truly follow it. I would like to know that they do. But this was one of the concerns with many of the providers, that you pretty much just get nothing, right? You're like, oh yeah, subscribe, and like our deal is a little bit better than the Claude's, which sucks the most. The models are good, but like the price is high. And you're just saying like, oh, you're gonna get like 50 TPS and you're gonna be guaranteed this many requests, which is pretty great. Like 50 TPS is a very usable minimum. While others who might not make such guarantees might drop you down to 5 TPS. And they say like, oh yeah, you're still delivering what we agreed to. So I'm just making a note that this is exactly what you would want to see from the pricing page. So nothing really over the top, but you can enjoy your infinite Claude Opus 4.5 for $10 or $20 a month.